Hey, sports fans, welcome back to another episode of Bucky Sports Show. I'm Bucky. I'm here this evening with BA, and we're going to break down the Sweet 16 and some potential Elite 8 matchups here in the NCAA tournament, and got some big time coaching changes and other things. Transfer portal is officially open. A lot of things going on in the world of college basketball other than just this tournament.
Yeah, it's been an exciting weekend this past weekend, starting Thursday, of course. But, my bracket's not in too bad a shape. I started off really good with the first four in. Got all those correct, which I was pleased with. And then really only missed 6 games in the first round. So as far as bracketology goes, I was kind of pleased with my bracket this year.
Yeah.
Probably the team I was most disappointed with so far was St. John's. Kind of let me down.
I thought they were playing better coming in, and they would be a really hard out.
I did too. I thought their defensive presence and so forth, but they.
With that though, Arkansas played tremendous that day against them, and they're going to be a tough out too.
They did. I just was kind of high on them, and I was kind of high on Wisconsin also. But I will say this: BYU is a lot better than I anticipated. I've seen them play once or twice during the year, so I wasn't really sold on them. But really, a strong physical team, shoots the ball well, fundamentally sound. BYU is a nice ball club, and they
are.
They kind of surprised me there. I had Wisconsin coming out, but those two are probably my big surprises.
So here's my question and my big disappointment in this tournament. There's no Cinderella.
No, and that's because of the. I believe it's because of the NIL.
Is that going away now because of the NIL?
Yeah, all the big schools now and big conference schools, they've got the money. And now they've got the depth.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to catch a team, you're going to catch them in the first round.
Yeah.
They're just not. Eventually, the Cinderellas, I believe, with the NIL and the transfer portal are maybe done, because anybody that has a great tournament that's an underclassman is going somewhere else.
Right.
They're going to be at a bigger school next year. And you can't blame the kids. You can blame the problem is the portal itself, and you can't blame them for taking the money.
No.
A lot of these kids, this is going to set them up for life.
I mean,
and why would you not take that opportunity to see someone better themselves?
Yeah.
I just don't like the way it's set up.
No.
There needs to be a cap. There needs to be some sort of rules on how many times you can transfer. Just a lot of things. There's a lot of things wrong with
it. It needs revamped.
Yeah. So I think the Cinderella stories are going to be diminished. I mean, it's going to be few and far between.
I've not looked deep into the transfer portal. I did see where 2 or 3 Alabama State players today jumped in.
There was a Michigan player that jumped in, and they're still
going.
They're still alive.
Yeah.
The Pippen kid, Scottie Pippen's boy. I guess apparently he's better ground somewhere else, but someone was complaining, saying that he was underutilized. I mean, that's pretty hard for me to think that, since they went to won the Big Ten tournament, finished second in the Big Ten regular season, and now in the Sweet 16. So I think maybe he was utilized properly.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. People's going to complain. You're not going to make everybody happy, so it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm trying to see here. Colorado State's coach, Nico Medved.
Yep.
I'm not sure how he pronounces that last name.
He don't.
He's now in Minnesota. How many of the Colorado State players do you see now jump?
Oh, they'll be
with him.
They'll be
jump ship. I mean, and you already seen it with Drake. Ben McCollum. He's now Iowa Hawkeye, and you have Bennett Sturts jump. And I did see an interesting stat from Bennett Sturts. This season, going into the NCAA tournament, he had 600 points, 125 assists, and 75 steals. The only other player in the Missouri Valley with the numbers?
Larry Bird.
Exactly, Larry Bird.
Legend.
I mean, when you can put your name with Larry Bird,
yeah,
and again, I don't blame either one of those guys.
No.
But I mean, it's disappointing.
I mean, you look at the teams that are left here. The Auburns, the Michigans, the Michigan States, the Floridas, Marylands. Tennessee, Houston, Bama, Duke.
Yep.
It's all because these programs have the NIL money. They have the money to go out and get the players.
Yeah.
They have the money to go out and get the top-ranked coaches.
Yep.
I mean, look what Michigan did this year by picking up Dusty May. I mean, a lot of people was counting, Michigan to get beat the first round of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think people underestimate what Dusty did at Florida Atlantic in the NCAA tournament, and he's tournament, ready to go. His teams are ready to play.
Yep.
They were down both games, and they didn't get shook. They come back. They got the veteran leadership. Same way with Houston. Another coach, Sampson, that's been around forever. He
can finally do this legally now.
Yeah. I mean, he's steady, and then you got Izzo. Year in, year out. I mean, Izzo's one of the best in my opinion, and it's understandable why these guys are there because these colleges have invested in their players and coaches.
Yeah.
So, like we said, money's playing a huge part of this tournament nowadays.
It is. Yeah, it sure is.
Best player, like I said, I've watched him play all. Cooper Flagg is, in my opinion, there's nowhere close for a player of the year. There's no one close to him.
No.
They throw names out just because they have to, but in my opinion, there's not a player in college basketball that's more complete than he is.
No, he's
every aspect.
He's the real deal.
Every aspect of the game.
Even with one good ankle, he's better than everyone else.
Yeah. And like I said, he, rebounding, scoring at any time he wants, passing the ball defensively, just an all-around great player. Now, as far as team goes, I still think Duke's the best team in this thing, but, Florida's played really well too, and so has Houston.
Yeah.
They both have played, pretty dominant. Now, out of the number one seeds, Auburn's probably been the scariest.
Yeah.
I don't think they played really as good as they can.
No, they have not played to their potential.
No. I think that Michigan might be able to, give them a little game, especially with Michigan's size. I mean, when you can throw 2 7-footers out there that can play on the perimeter and inside, might give Auburn some fits.
Yeah.
Tough matchup.
And looking at it at the next round of games, I really think those are the 2 1 seeds that have the potential of being upset.
Yeah.
Michigan's been playing really well. Auburn has not.
Yep.
And Purdue playing in Indy.
Yeah.
That is going to be a home court for Purdue.
Purdue did exactly what I had. I've actually predicted Purdue to win, to go out to the Elite Eight, and the reason why was their guard play and the big fella inside.
Yeah,
and that's been the difference in every game so far. They've just been kind of steady. Like I said, I think that's going to be a great game, especially playing in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
because let's face it. If you're not from Houston, you're not going to have any fans from Indianapolis for Sampson.
No,
it's going to be a not a good environment for him.
I was talking to someone, I don't remember who, but the question was asked: who are IU fans going to root for in this game? Kelvin Sampson or Purdue?
That's going to be a push. I think they're probably rooting for Tennessee to come out of that ordeal. So. They're definitely not rooting for Kentucky.
There's one team. One team in that.
IU fans are probably rooting for Tennessee to come out there.
A lot of burn oranges this weekend.
Yeah, but the thing is, like I said, with with Purdue giving them a matchup, I mean, with those two guys playing well, you'll have the crowd behind you. Purdue has kind of taken over before Indiana was always owned Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case anymore.
No, Purdue.
The last several years, that's kind of become a Purdue territory now, especially playing all these holiday games up there around Christmas time, and it's really turned into a Purdue friendly environment in Indianapolis. So be like a home game for them.
Yeah, and not only Purdue, but I see a lot more Indiana State up around Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think last year really helped that.
It's growing in the Indy area.
Yeah, last year really helped that, especially the run up at Butler there at Hinkle.
Yeah.
Kind of getting them some notoriety. Getting off topic here a little bit, though, they've taken a little hit in the portal here the last few days, too.
They have.
Which, I've said it before, they're going to have to rebuild every year.
Mm-hmm.
So this doesn't surprise me.
No. It's
these guys get on there on these websites and complain, well, this guy's leaving, this guy's leaving, this guy's leaving. That happens every year for us.
Every single year.
And it's going to from here on out. So where do we go get Till? We got him last year.
Yeah.
We got to go get another Till. We got to get another Swope. We got to get another, Conwell. You got to get them every year.
Yeah.
I mean, the way it is now, we are a feeder system for a bigger program.
We're JUCO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, to go back a little bit with, and I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit, and people may not agree with me, but boy, Texas messed up. You go out and get Sean Miller.
Yeah.
Boy, you can have him. I'm telling you right now, I do not like the way they run their offense. I think they have a lot of talent on that team. And honestly, I don't think he utilizes those guys offensively. No. They're awful. I mean, at times they are awful.
Yeah.
And like I said, I thought Xavier was a lot better this year coming into the season, but I am not a Sean Miller fan by no means.
No, I think you can look at his record at Arizona.
Yeah.
And
again, tons of talent.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to go play in Arizona. It's nice. It's a nice campus.
Yeah.
Nice weather. It's easy to recruit there.
Yeah.
They have money too. I mean, it's not a, they have a fast track to the NBA.
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever really got everything out of his talent that he had at Arizona. So I'm not a Sean Miller fan. I texted a Texas fan yesterday and said, "Hey, good luck with that." I'm not.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But with that being said, does Conwell enter the portal?
Yeah, how many years does he have left?
He's got
Has he got one more year left?
He's got one more left.
Yeah.
It's hard to say now. I mean, hell, they're giving him 6, 7 years now.
If he does enter the portal, Coach DeVries, he knows firsthand what Conwell's done.
Very familiar with him.
Yeah.
Very familiar with him. Be nice to get him back in the state of Indiana.
It would. He's an Indiana boy.
Coming from Indianapolis, it would be a good fit for IU.
It would.
Another great shooter.
Yeah.
A guy that can go out and score, gives you a lot of different options, would be a great IU player, in my opinion, especially to go with some of the other shooters that we might end up getting this year.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the new hire. I think he was a great hire.
I do too.
But I guess to get back to, we got off subject there a little bit, and off topic, but do we want to go through the bracket games?
Yeah, I have them on my sheet here.
We've got a nice little board here too that was.
Yeah, thanks to the mistake, the typo from the graphic design class at Shakamak. This was donated to me by Matt Fugers, so appreciate that. The first game on Thursday is BYU versus Alabama. Alabama's a 5.5-point favorite. Now, all these lines are as of 5:30 on Tuesday.
I will take BYU in the money line.
Okay.
I just think BYU right now is playing as good as anybody, and like I said, I wasn't that familiar with BYU until the tournament started, and have definitely been impressed. Not that I've not necessarily say I haven't been impressed with Bama. I just really think BYU will come out on top. I'll probably take him in the money line, and I'll definitely take him in a points. I'll take the points too.
Yeah, I would definitely take BYU plus 5.5, but I would take Alabama in a money line situation. Next game, we got Maryland versus Florida. Florida is a 6.5-point favorite.
I'll take Florida, and I'll take Florida to cover.
Florida and the points with me.
Yeah, I just think they're playing as second best team in the tournament so far I've seen.
Yeah,
behind Duke, of course.
And you speak of Duke. Last game on Thursday is Arizona versus Duke.
Duke by a million.
Yes.
I'll take Duke. I only know what the spread is.
It's 9.5.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, did you have Arizona even getting out this far?
I had them beat Oregon beating them.
Okay, I was gonna say I know you said Akron might get them.
Yeah, no, I had Arizona beating Akron, but I did have Oregon beating
still
Arizona.
Here. And I did lie a second ago. Actually, the last game on Thursday is Arkansas versus Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is a 5.5-point favorite.
You know, that's a tough one. Arkansas is playing pretty well.
They're playing really well right now.
I might take Arkansas to cover.
That's what I was leaning right now. Arkansas to cover 5.5. Texas Tech money line.
Yeah, I could see that. I could go with that.
And then on Friday, we got probably one of the interesting matchups right off the bat Friday evening. Ole Miss versus Michigan State. Michigan State only a 3.5-point favorite.
I'll take Michigan State and the points.
I will too. However, Ole Miss has been playing well.
They have, and they're well coached too. I mean,
they are.
He's a good coach, but the reason why I'm taking Michigan State, I just saw them win, and arguably their best player didn't score until 2 minutes left to go in the game in Richardson.
Yeah.
So they've got other weapons that can get them through. Mm-hmm. And, an Izzo coach team is always going to be prepared.
They are.
So you give him all week to prepare for this team. I just like Michigan State.
Yeah. I like Michigan State too, but it looked like Chris Beard was coaching pissed off last week after the IU made a decision.
Yeah, and like I said, the Chris Beard situation, Ole Miss is a good fit for him.
It is.
With his background and what he's had happen to him in the past. Yep. Indiana has always been a school that kind of looks at character. Mm-hmm. Not saying that it's, all that was his fault. I don't know. That's to be argued.
Right.
But he definitely brought some baggage with him.
It's a black eye.
Yeah. And they're gonna go on the safe side.
Yeah.
And when you get two coaches that I don't know if they're equally, but as pretty equal as far as X's and O's.
Yeah.
It's Indiana was going to take the safe bet.
Oh, absolutely.
And with that being said, but I think Beard is a great fit for Ole Miss. He can stay there in the SEC and have a good career and coach there for 20 years if he has, success.
Be that 5-6 seed every single year and give yourself an opportunity.
Get them into the NCAA tournament, get them to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
They're going to be happy with that.
Yeah.
And sometimes coaches just need to step back and say, okay, this is my niche. This is where I need to stay. And I really think with all his movement around the league and the country, and as far as that goes, this might be a place where he just needs to stay.
Yep. All right, next up, we got probably the game I am most looking forward to. Kentucky versus Tennessee. I know it's not the good old-fashioned hate game in college football, but it very well should be.
I'm gonna take Tennessee.
Tennessee is favored by 4.5.
And I'll take them and the
I'm
points.
taking them and the points.
I've seen Kentucky look really good this year, and I've seen Kentucky look really bad.
Yes.
Their thing is consistency.
Yeah.
And they played pretty well last weekend, so they're due for a stinker.
And they are going to be playing a road game.
Yeah.
I know it's in Indy, and I know Tennessee's not anywhere near Indianapolis.
Yeah.
But the hate Indiana has for Kentucky.
Now, with that being said, though, Kentucky also travels well.
They do.
They travel very well, and
But Purdue fans are buying those tickets.
well, you'd think, but let me tell you, a lot of the Kentucky grads got a lot of money. Money talks.
Don't get me wrong. The majority of the people, I think, will be against them.
Yeah, which I mean, but I really just think Tennessee is better
They are.
than them.
They are.
Tennessee is, like I said, they're a team this year too that, I watched them play several times, and again, we've all talked about the SEC, and I mean they've showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like, well, so and so lost, so and so lost. They had 14 teams in.
Yeah.
You're not going to get all 14 in.
I mean, you're going to have a guaranteed 13 losses if you have 14 teams in.
Yes. So, like I said, it's one of those deals. Them and the Big Ten both had good tournaments so far. Mm-hmm. They've had good tournaments.
Yeah.
ACC, not so much.
No.
Good thing they had Duke.
They're being carried.
Good thing they had Duke. Yeah. That's all I got to say. Big East, same thing.
No.
Big East was the same way. I just... definitely the SEC and the Big Ten has showed out. I mean, that's pretty dominant.
Yeah. All right, next up, we got Michigan versus Auburn, a 9.5-point favorite.
This is going to be my favorite because I'm taking Michigan to cover.
Yes.
And I'm really, really leaning for Michigan money line.
I actually think Michigan pulls it off.
I do too.
I think Michigan is just playing so well right now, and Auburn's not playing well.
Right, and where's that played at?
Don't know. That's not on the list.
Atlanta.
Atlanta. That's Auburn country, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But we talked about Kentucky traveling well, so does Michigan.
Yeah, they do. They do. Like I said, I believe that's going to be a good game. I'll definitely take the 9. What'd you say, 9.5?
9.5.
I'll jump on that all day long and see how it goes.
Yeah. Last game of the Sweet 16, Purdue versus Houston. 8.5-point favorite for Houston.
I'll take the Boilers to cover.
I am taking... Actually, I'm going to probably moneyline Purdue.
I have them winning on my bracket, so I probably will also. Like I said, I think that may be the upset, one of the upsets of the tournament.
And those 1-seed games right there are the ones. First 1 seed out might depend on what game ends first.
Right. I agree.
So then when you're looking at potential Elite 8 matchups, is there any that you want to see that you think would be just fantastic games?
Yeah, I'd love to see Michigan State, Michigan again.
Yes.
Yeah. I just would.
That rivalry game would be fun.
It would be. And I would like to see, Purdue, Tennessee. I just think that would be a good matchup. I was really looking forward to a Florida St. John's, but like we said, St. John's kind of messed that up. But I was really looking forward to that game.
Yeah. That really opened that bracket up there for Florida.
It did. Same way with Duke. I really don't think anybody coming out will give them a matchup between BYU or
No.
Alabama. I just don't see that.
No.
Especially with another week to get everybody healthy for Duke, and it's gonna be hard for me to see that being a real good game.
Yeah.
But I am definitely would love to see a Michigan State Michigan.
Yes, I would too. That's kind of the game I'm rooting for to happen.
Yep.
Like I said, the Kentucky-Tennessee game was the one I was hoping to see.
Yeah.
From our previous episode, get that game, and I like rivalry games in the tournament. It just adds a little bit.
It does.
I also saw where I was able to watch, being on spring break this week, I was able to watch a little bit of the women's tournament yesterday.
Yeah.
It started around noon, I think, yesterday.
Yeah.
Watched North Carolina. They are playing Duke in the Sweet 16. It is the first time the Duke North Carolina women's has ever met in the NCAA tournament.
Well, that's interesting for the women's side.
So you're starting to get some rivalries in that tournament as well.
Indiana, South Carolina women's game.
Yes,
very good first half.
It was.
For the Hoosiers.
It was.
Just talent kind of took over in the second half.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Dawn Staley, but she does a nice job.
Oh, great job! And I'm not a big fan either, but she does a great job, and her teams are always mentally and physically prepared. But a good effort by the Hoosiers.
Yes, it was.
Hoosiers.
Yeah, it was.
On what was probably considered not one of their best seasons. I mean,
no,
enough to get in the tournament.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
But we're expecting now every year, IU with what she's built there, with what Coach Moore has built there, is we expect them every year to be a top 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah, and then I mean, you look at what IU was before she got there. She turned them around, and then you look at what she did at Indiana State, and now you look at where Indiana State is now after she's gone.
I just read before I got here, every one of their players entered the transfer portal.
They need to. They only have 4 wins.
Every player has entered the portal. But I'm like...
The coach probably should have made them. But with that being said, though, Indiana State's coaching staff, both men's and women's, were behind the 8 ball.
Yes.
This season.
Yes, they were.
The men's side, they had that deep run in the NIT last year. And last year's women's coach, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he had health issues.
Yeah.
And he didn't resign until late.
Yeah. But here's my problem with this. You're a bad team, and every one of your players thinks they're going to go somewhere else?
Well, maybe they were asked.
Well, maybe. Who wants these players? Who wants these girls?
Yeah.
I mean, you may get 1 or 2 to go play somewhere that's as good as Indiana State, maybe a little bit better, but I mean, the entire team. I mean, you'd think somebody would say, "Hey, at least I can stay around and be the only one left." Surely they got to play me this year.
Well, we saw that happen last year with the men's team too,
yes,
and some came out of it, and
Which I checked it. I think we've got on the men's side of Indiana State 6, 5 that's entered the portal. Some of them's been grad students, which I don't really... They couldn't come back anyhow, so...
The only one I saw that thought, that's interesting was Aaron Gray.
Grad student, though. Couldn't come back anyhow.
That would explain it.
Yeah. Couldn't come back anyhow, so...
And we honored him, right?
Yes, yes.
And that might have been why I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, he had no other... If he wanted to continue to play one more year, it had to be at another school.
Right.
I don't know where he goes,
Yeah.
But, he's going to go to another school that's equivalent to an Indiana State mid-major. He's not going to go anywhere. Now, I believe Till can leave also. I think he entered also as a grad student.
Yeah, because I think he was just senior.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. So he can leave as a grad student, and he did put his name in. So now there's a player I think that can play at a bigger level.
Mm-hmm.
A bigger conference.
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy can score,
He can.
and he's got the quickness and so forth.
And honestly, when Indiana State played over at Ohio State, he had a good game.
Yeah, I mean, he can play.
He held his own against big competition.
He can play at that level. Now, I do think that the one kid entered today. What was his name? Can't think of it right off the head. I just saw it before I came in. Look it up here.
I was going to say, let me just pull up the transfer portal. Okay, right now, Indiana State has Tyron Cook, Josiah Legree, and Aaron Gray.
They had somebody today.
That is not on the 247 Sports.
Yeah, he may not officially be there, but he announced it on Twitter.
I actually seen right now that Legree is in the transfer portal for the first time, and I'll be honest, I could care less. I could not stand watching him play. He was just a turnover machine. His warm-ups, he didn't take those serious. He was just trying to put on a dunk contest. I don't think he brought anything to him. I'm glad he's leaving.
Looking at a Rick Similar tweet right here from an hour ago. Looks like staying is Jaden Daughtry, Camp Wagner,
Good.
Marcus Harding, Derek Vorst,
Okay.
Jalen Walker,
Okay.
and I don't know this last kid, Caden Hutton-Walker.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll be returning for the Sycamores.
I wonder
next
if he has a
season.
red shirt this year.
It says right now Cooper Bean and Merritt Eldrick are still undecided. But I saw I just saw earlier that Eldrick was in the transfer portal. And also undecided is Bruno.
Okay.
Allison.
Yeah. But you know what? With those guys coming back, he could add a couple of pieces.
Yeah.
And they could have a nice season next year.
Yeah. And you know, he'll go out once everything, the dust settles.
Yeah.
We'll find out how many we need,
Yeah.
or what we need. You know, still some high school players.
What they need is a point guard.
Need a point guard. They need a point guard. You can find that in the portal. I mean, he's done a good job finding that D3, D2 players. And,
Yeah.
you know, NAIA guys that were big scores at that level.
Yeah.
You know, maybe hit the JUCO portal.
Mm-hmm.
JUCO ranks a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, everybody's forgetting about the high school players too. I know they've kind of went to the wayside. It's so much easier to build a program around the transfer portal guys, but you mix in a couple of true freshmen, and
because when you have a guy like Rick Pitino saying he's not going to recruit high school kids anymore, that opens high school kids up for the mid majors.
It does
to get them some experience and
right.
a couple years under their belt.
And I don't know if there's any local kids around here that can help them right now. I mean, we've had a lot of success this year from a lot of local teams. The Terre Haute North had a good ball club. Northview had a nice ball club. Clay City had a really nice ball club. Park Heritage, nice ball club.
I really liked what I saw from Ren's kid.
Yeah.
There at Terre Haute North.
Yeah. And
he's got a solid year. I don't know what grade level he is.
I'm not sure.
I think
he's a junior. I think he's a junior.
That's what I was thinking. I think he's even got a brother that might have been a freshman on the team.
So, there's some local kids here that's out here that it might be able to, get one of those kids in there. It's nice to see the area, though, have area teams make deep runs in the tournament.
Yes.
And
I'm going to give
Linton made a nice run.
They did. I want to give a shout out to my brother Evan, his first semi-state this year as an official.
Yep.
Kudos to him on that.
Yep. They apparently he had an interesting game.
Yeah.
What I
fireworks.
What I saw on the IHSAA fan page or whatever the hell that
little
is.
fireworks there for a second or two, I think.
Yeah. To go back with officiating a little bit, I don't want to be a guy that just beats him down, but I thought the officiating in the NCAA tournament has been really poor.
Yeah.
They have just let some of the most obvious fouls go,
Mm-hmm.
and then call some ticky-tack stuff that anticipation calls is what I call them.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be times where guys will go in there and not get touched at all, and they won't call it. I saw 3 or 4 games where guys got cross-body blocked, but they made the block, and then you look at the lower body.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are getting creamed in there.
And my gripe with the officiating is more on the out of bounds. Let's review it.
Last 2 minutes takes at least 25, 30 minutes. They review everything nowadays.
The 10 o'clock game needs to start about 8 o'clock before it can be over by midnight.
I agree. But like I said, I just thought some of the officiating this year was a little poor at the NCAA level, at the college level. And I think some of the play was a little poor.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen a tournament yet where I've seen more missed layups, more missed 2-footers, and just some bad turnovers. I mean, just some bad play.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was on Facebook and went on my rant. I blame that on AAU basketball because I've witnessed it, and it is a shit show.
It is.
I mean, it's definitely, that type of play.
Yeah.
But it's just like all these 2-footers. Then Queen makes one, to end the game. He makes a
but did he travel?
Well, yeah, he traveled. I mean, but like I said, again, bad officiating. But it goes down to a lot of these players don't get proper angles when they shoot the basketball.
Yeah.
They don't use the bank board like they should.
Right.
I sound like some old guy preaching from the movie Hoosiers, but it's a lot of stuff. They lose sight of the rim. I don't know how many kids they blow by somebody. It's all about speed, and then they just throw up something that's just awful off the bank board.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, they're not getting their head on the rim quick enough. They're losing sight. They're losing the eyesight of the rim. I don't know what it is, but it's been awful.
Yeah.
So I just sat and watched it and see you got to make that. That's a 2-footer. If I'm a coach over, I'm pulling my hair out. I mean, it's not fundamental basketball. But by God, we'll shoot 3-pointers all day long.
Oh yeah.
We'll shoot 3-pointers all day long. Like I said,
absolutely.
That's the AAU coming out in it, but it is what it is.
It's the style of player I know.
Yeah.
We talked about it a couple of maybe your first time on here when we talked about the women's game.
Yeah.
That 10, 15-foot jump shot's gone from the men's game.
Yeah. Well, I watched the women's tournament, I don't know, 7 or 8 games, and I saw they make layups. Mm-hmm. They make the 2-footers.
Some.
Yeah, but majority of the time they are fundamentally, more basketball skilled than the boys are.
Yeah.
As far as fundamentals. And
well, I was just thinking it takes one player about 3 or 4 attempts before she finally makes one.
Well, that's at the high school level. Usually at the college level.
I was thinking Angel Reese.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that. But I tell you what, I was really impressed with the Becker girl playing the other night.
Mm-hmm. She's solid.
Started off the game slow, then 21 in the first half. I'm like, okay, that's impressive.
And I was watching USC last night when Juju went down. And that's never good to see.
I'd be hard pressed for them to win next game.
It's their tournament.
Who do they play next?
I don't know. I have not looked.
It'll be hard pressed because she is so valuable to their team.
Yes.
That I just don't see them now being a Final Four contender by no means. Huge loss. But I tell you what I do see is Gino doing it again at UConn.
Yeah.
I mean, his teams just know how to play in a tournament. And,
they do.
And I'm impressed.
Yeah, and I was impressed with South Carolina in the second half.
Yeah.
They just didn't shoot well the first half.
Yeah.
And they kind of changed. They went down low, and they took care of business pretty easily. That second half, but
again, another one of those things, especially on the women's side. If you're in early rounds and you take the top seeds, you're pretty safe.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see the upsets like you do on the men's side.
No.
Usually you can get 14 of the top 16 in the Sweet 16. If you there may be a couple 7, 8, one of those.
Well, the 8,
flip-flop
9, 7,
8,
10 games.
yeah.
Those aren't, to me. Those aren't really upsets.
Right, exactly. Me either. So that's the reason why. But those other ones are pretty. You're pretty safe.
Anything after that, every once in a while you'll see 11 or 12 pulling upset, but it is not near as often.
No. And if you can take your UConns and your South Carolinas and put them in a Final Four, you're usually pretty safe.
I was telling, might have been the guys at Shakamak Friday. I think Travis Turpin told me he had all 1 seeds in the Final Four. I said that's not happened since 2008.
Yeah.
Like, it's rare for all 1 seeds to go to the Final Four.
Yep.
It's not rare in the women's game for all 1 seeds to be in the Final Four.
I saw where Jay Billis said last time he put all 4 number 1s in was the year they went.
Yeah.
And he had all 4 in this year though. So again, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I said I still think it boils down to the NIL and the transfer portal that these teams, you're going to start seeing more and more of these upper ranked teams every year be in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Just one of those things.
Yeah, that's what my brother Zach and I talked about a few weeks ago was that's what we liked about the tournament was the upsets.
Yeah.
And that's,
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
We're not going to see St. Peter's in the Sweet 16, the Elite 8 anymore.
Probably not.
And if we do, that St. Peter's team will be dismantled.
Oh yeah,
the second.
Yeah, it'll be one and done. The only thing is on the upside of that, on the other side of that, what you're going to do though in this Sweet 16 is get some good head-to-head basketball.
Very good basketball games.
Yeah.
You
should be able to get some very good basketball games because of the top 20 teams in the nation, they should be. The gap is kind of closed. I mean, with the transfer portal too. So therefore, you just don't have 3 or 4 teams. Now you got like 20 that can compete on any given day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because really, when you look at this year's Sweet 16, the one that I would think is the furthest from the top 25 is probably BYU, maybe Arkansas.
Yeah, I agree.
One of those two.
Maybe Maryland. I just don't know if Maryland has enough.
I mean, Maryland with a 4 seed, though, you'd think.
I know. I just don't know if Maryland has
at least
enough.
Top 20.
Enough to. I thought that 4 seed for Maryland was pretty generous.
Yeah.
Especially with Michigan getting a 5 seed.
Yes.
And Michigan finished ahead of them in the Big Ten tournament and Big Ten regular season.
Yeah.
Don't know if that 4 seed was justified.
Probably wasn't.
And that's the only thing you kind of have a beef with, but it doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, if you're Michigan, you got to beat Auburn eventually in the end.
Yeah.
So
I really think this was a year the selection committee got lazy.
I agree.
I think they had so many teams from the Big Ten and the SEC that after their conference tournaments, they didn't change anything.
No,
they
already had that set.
We've got it. We're not changing.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of all over them about North Carolina, but the playing game they just dismantled them.
Yeah, they got to back that next game though.
Well, I mean, they played well at times. I mean, it wasn't an awful game. Probably deserved to be in after I watched them play a little bit, especially that playing game. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of North Carolina by no means.
I don't know. San Diego State should have been in.
That's true. That's the other one. Yeah.
There might have been 2 teams that got screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, because I really thought that West Virginia probably should have been
again,
in.
though.
Yeah.
My gripe with the selection committee is let's stick with whatever metrics we're going to use.
Yeah.
If it's the net and the metrics, fine. If it's quad 1 wins, fine. But it can't be one year and the other the next.
Yeah, it's all willy nilly. There's no. this is the way we're going to do it, year in, year out.
Right.
And that's how you build your team. That's how you build your schedule.
Yeah.
And I hear this too about strength of schedule. It's awful in football. I mean, they always complain about strength of schedule. These schedules are made out years in advance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you can just change. Like IU last year in football was talking about how weak a schedule it is.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 teams that played in the national championship game.
Yeah.
Washington and Michigan on their team, on their schedule. Nobody knew what kind of season they were going to have coming in.
Right.
They, on their schedule going into the season, at the end of last year, you look and go, oh, crap. They got Washington and Michigan who played for a national championship and Ohio State on their schedule.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, okay, their schedule's good.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out,
Not
they had some down years.
Yeah.
They had a down year.
Yeah.
Not IU's fault.
Right.
I mean, and this schedule's been made out for a couple of years. It's a couple of years in advance.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's hard to just, it's hard to justify what happens throughout the year as far as going with strength of schedule.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. I think the ACC is in trouble in basketball.
Well, that's that ACC Big East merger that we talked about last week.
Yeah, and they're still throwing that around this week. It's becoming a hot topic.
I heard Dan Hurley talk about it in a press conference.
Yes, Dan Hurley, and guess who he spoke with? Mike Krzyzewski.
Yeah.
2 big names of each of those conferences. I know Krzyzewski's not in the ACC anymore, but let's face it. If Mike Krzyzewski says something, the ACC is going to listen.
Right.
They're not going to just sit there and
after I listened to Dan Hurley talk about it, I started thinking about it. They don't need every team to have a football team.
No, they
for
don't.
the ACC conference.
They don't.
For that.
They don't. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't work.
No, it'd be way too many teams.
But you look at it in basketball, it would be good for everybody.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You would
and
get
really
that.
all their other sports.
It would be. You would get that old rivalry back of Syracuse, UConn.
Yep.
Georgetown, Syracuse.
Yeah.
You maybe get a good rivalry between Duke and UConn now.
Yeah.
Both programs that have proven themselves year in, year out to be a national contender. I think it would be good for basketball.
Boston
definitely.
College would be back in the mix.
Boston College will be back to their old,
with UConn up there.
Yep. Like I said, Syracuse.
Yep.
I can see maybe Clemson and Florida State leaving for both reasons.
Yes.
And going to the SEC.
Yes.
That's
where their rivals are.
Yeah, and Clemson probably should have been there a few years back.
Yeah.
They're built in football. They're as close to an SEC team as there is.
Mm-hmm.
And Florida State year in, year out, they're going to do their thing in football. But they want out. They've wanted out for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But if you do that and send them over, then, like I said, basketball, I think you have to make that move.
Mm-hmm.
If that would go down and those 2 would leave, you have to make that move.
Yeah. If they do this, what happens with Notre Dame? Do they force Notre Dame to join conference in football?
No, nobody's going to force them to.
And when Notre Dame's TV contract runs out with NBC, do they jump to the Big Ten?
Is it going to run out, or are they going to re-sign with somebody else? Is CBS going to come knocking? Is Fox going to come knocking?
Well, that's true. That's true.
Is ESPN going to come knocking? I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
Or is Peacock going to come knocking and give them a ton of money?
Well, I mean, they're already on Peacock.
They are.
With their NBC contract.
I know. But, I mean, what are they going to do? Now, what's interesting is the Big Ten already has that contract with the NBC now, too.
That's what I was thinking.
I think they're forcing. I think everybody's going to try to force Notre Dame to come to the Big Ten.
I think so, too.
But I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to stay pat and just stay right where they're at.
It'll be interesting.
It will be.
I think it'd help them at this point how the college football is set up to join the conference. But
I think they're going to eventually have to, but I think they're going to be the last team standing.
Yeah.
As long as the FBS caters to Notre Dame, they're not going to join a conference.
No.
When they come down and say, oh, listen, you got to go undefeated to get invited.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not in the conference,
Well,
then you're going to come join the conference.
Here's the thing that they've already done, though. They'll never have a bye.
Yeah.
Because your conference champions get buys.
True. So that is true.
They will never get a bye in the tournament.
That's true. But until they force them to join one.
They're not forcing them yet.
But they're making
it harder.
Yeah. I agree.
And now that the selection committee is a bunch of athletic directors.
Yep. It'll be interesting.
It will.
Which I'm not a big fan of the selection committee being athletic directors.
No.
I think it should be a it's going to be hard to get a non-biased, but they need a commissioner.
Let me throw this out. I'll do it. $100,000 a year. I'll do every term. I'll watch every sport. I'll do it. Contact me.
You're doing it too cheap.
No. Are you kidding? $100,000 a year to watch sports?
Well, they're going to have to pay for your travel.
I'll just be in a room with 100 TVs. I don't care.
I'm all for Nick Saban to be the college football coordinator or the commissioner. College football commissioner.
Let him and Kirk Herbstreit tag team that.
Yes, I would be all for that. I'd be all for them.
Maybe even Pat McAfee. Let those three guys.
Yeah, I would be all for them to be on the committee, as well as Fowler.
Mm-hmm.
And get some guys that are interested. And even maybe go get some old, Big Ten ex-coaches or so forth that's been around the game.
Lou Holtz could probably pick a good turn.
Yep. Like I said, get some guys in there that are knowledgeable. But Saban is one that knows the game inside and out, not only on the X's and O's side, but also the business side of the deal.
Yeah.
I think he would be great for the game. And same way on the men's basketball side, maybe get a Krzyzewski in there.
Mm-hmm.
Bennett from Virginia. Those guys that were quality guys, quality coaches that Roy Williams.
Yeah.
Guys like that, and put them on the committee. And kind of go with that. But anytime there's acting athletic directors, and especially when you find out that there's bonuses involved.
They get basically the salary.
Financial bonuses involved for your team making the tournament.
He gets $104,000 when their team makes the tournament.
Yes. I just don't. That's a
wrong.
conflict. That's a conflict of interest. Yeah. That's wrong with me too.
Yeah. All right. Well, baseball opening day Thursday. Who you got this year? Who's your world
I tell you what, I'm just not happy with my Cardinals. I'm not looking forward to baseball season. I love baseball season. Always love baseball season because there's year in, year out, my team was in it.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all with what we didn't do this year. We did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Our pitching staff is me and you out there throwing. I mean,
they're a little better than me and you.
Sonny Gray. I'll take my chances against the rest of them. I am disappointed in my Redbirds. But with that being said, I will tell you what I took this year on DraftKings.
Okay. My world champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think they're by far the best team.
I'm not even going to question that. I mean,
I did take some random things. Like I did take the Yankees to win the World Series. Might have even taken the Phillies to win the World Series. I
do this every year, and I hit a couple years ago for pretty decent amount. Not as much as I am this year.
That's I am this year.
I took for a bonus bet that I had a $10 bonus bet. So I usually take my bonus bets and bet on long-term stuff.
Okay.
I took the Yankees to win the East, the Braves to win the Central or the East.
Okay.
The Detroit Tigers to win the AL Central.
Okay.
And the Cardinals to win the NL Central.
Ooh. Ooh.
And that $10 bet pays $1,268.
I'm sure it would with the Cardinals in there.
Here's my theory on the Cardinals.
They're not.
Who else in the Central? Central's bad.
It is bad. It is bad.
Central's bad. You just got to be better than the rest of them duds.
It is bad, but if you watch our NL Central preview, you'll see I took the Cardinals to be last.
We won't be last. We won't be last. We won't be last, but we won't be good. But here's the deal. Cubs, right now they're in last place.
Well,
I'm just saying they're in last place.
I mean,
Pittsburgh, even if they come out good, they sell all their guys off. So
usually,
they're
yeah.
going to be.
They won't be good long
They
term.
won't be good long term. Milwaukee really done nothing in the offseason to improve themselves. And the Reds, well, they're the Reds, so
Yeah.
I don't fear them either.
You know what the problem is with Milwaukee? They didn't do anything, but they still may be the best team in the division.
They're probably the best team in the division. But like I said, that's where my Cardinal theory is going to be. Is we did nothing and finished second last year in that division.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we did nothing. Milwaukee didn't do anything. Really, nobody did anything in that division this year in the offseason. The Cubs lost Bellinger, picked up Tucker. Okay. Really, what did they do? Not much.
Well,
what did the Reds do?
The Reds didn't do much, but do they get better just because they're young?
Okay, and then
and
about halfway through the season,
the Reds got the manager. They got Terry Francona.
They do.
That's what they did.
That was a good pickup for them. I'd love to have him on my side because in the Central we have the worst manager, and it's not close.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'll even put him up as the worst manager in baseball.
He could be
worst manager in baseball.
Yeah.
General manager wise, the worst general manager in baseball.
Yeah.
What's going to determine us is our bullpen's decent. Starting pitcher's awful. Besides we got Sonny Gray, and who knows what he's going to do. Offensively, I don't know if we keep Arenado around all year. I don't think we will. I think someone will come calling around trade deadline. If we're in it, I don't know if we make that move. Depends what kind of year he's having.
Yeah.
But I can see us idiots, being in first place and go ahead and trade him off when he's hitting about 310. I can see us doing that.
Nah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
It depends on our young players, how they develop.
That's what's going to be Cardinals' key. If young players develop, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
If not, it'll be a long year.
We got Contreras at first base. What we're smoking there, but we'll find out. Like I said, not really looking forward to it. You being a Braves fan, I'd be optimistic.
I'm optimistic. I always say it's a chip in a chair. I think I'll have that in my
Here's what I want to happen. I want the Mets to be awful.
Yeah, me too.
Can't stand the Mets.
Yeah.
Year in, year out. Hope the Mets finish last every year.
Yeah, me too.
Not a Mets fan at all.
No.
Rest, I don't really care. But I like baseball, so
yeah,
it's a good thing. I'm glad to have it back. I usually enjoy coming over to St. Louis and watching a few games, but it wasn't real enjoyable last year. I went over twice and decided I wasn't going back till we fire our manager. So we'll see if I go this year or not.
Yeah, run up to the Indians. They're fun to watch.
They are, but it's still that going to the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Or make a quest to go visit every park. I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, I've got some.
The problem is the tickets are getting too expensive because they're paying players $1 billion.
Yeah, you got to pay everybody $1 billion. So, you got to have $24 hot dogs and $53 beer. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, definitely enjoying the opening day coming up Thursday, right?
Thursday. Yep, 2 days.
Because I don't really count that Japan thing. Is
that didn't count. That was stupid.
It was. But.
And then, Braves are playing the Cubs today in spring training games. So they go play 2 regular season games, come back, and finish a spring training season.
Yeah, that's
stupid.
That's stupid.
Stupid.
because we got to make the international players happy.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else?
I'm done.
Okay. Well, that'll wrap up this episode of Bucky Sports Show. If you got any questions or topics you want us to discuss, let us know at buckysportsshow@gmail.com. Again, that's buckysportsshow@gmail.com.
Tell us if you hate us or like us. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I've had people tell me they hate me all the time. I don't care. All right, that'll end it tonight. So everyone have a good week. We'll see you next week, and we'll break down the Final Four.